行くぞはっジェノサイカッタ
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today I'm going to take on Elemental Curse using a more free-to-play team. We're not going to be using any BS characters. We're not going to use any collab characters, although we will be using one collab card set. But before we get into that, this guy that we're looking at right here, this monster right here, needs a buff. In fact, we need some yellow attack type fighters. And the reason I'm saying this is, in the Elemental Curse, yellow has the advantage. And look at our yellow fighters. Look at these guys. All of them, but these two right here, really lack survivability, something fierce. You're not going to bring in any of these other characters in the Elemental Curse because they're just not going to do enough damage, and they damn sure won't survive. Mei Li, yeah, she's got some power, but she will die instantly. Okita, he does have super armor and immunity, so he's actually good, but he's a collab character. He's also a gold border. He isn't as high as cost as the Fest characters. He's just not going to do as much damage. Although he does have super armor and immunity, so he can definitely put in work in there. But Mion here actually would be really good for the Elemental Curse, since she does have super armor and immunity on her skills. And she also has double dodge. She also has Starlight. She has burn damage. She would actually be really good for this damn thing, especially since she does have 20% PG gain in her core, which is nice. And then the decreased damage received by 12% is really nice. Although this isn't the leadership you'd want to use there. You'd want to use a leadership like this guy right here that gives the 60% increase of all attack. The big caveat to Iori is, man, he just has no survivability. We're all well aware of this, and I'm asking that Marvel, please buff this guy. I don't care if you give him a nice decreased damage received by 75%. If you give him immunity, he already has super armor in his kit. If you give immunity on his third skill, I don't care. Just increase his survivability. He would be so much better in so many more game modes if that was the case. We all love Iori. He's a very, very popular character from the franchise, and we want a little something more for him. You've already buffed a lot of other characters, beloved characters like Orochi Leona, 97 Orochi, Ignatz, Zero, all these characters. Please buff Iori. You buffed Kyo, you buffed Terry. Come on, buff Iori. It's high time this guy got a little something. Personally, I'd like to see him have a little immunity. Hyper armor would be nice. Maybe that would be overpowered, although he doesn't have guard break in his kit. But I'm just asking for a buff because this guy dies instantly. He dies instantly against the Elemental Curse. And Pretty Zero here, I'm not going to be using her today, although she is really great because she is a yellow attack. She has the PG rate, and she does get this immunity. And this is very, very important, especially for a character that has super armor. And when you're running through all three of your characters, if you're doing all their special skills, by the time you bring Pretty Z back around, you'll probably have this immunity ready again, although don't quote me on that. But I imagine your immunity will be pretty close to being ready because it is on a 25-second cooldown. And whenever you're doing all your special skills and your ultimates, it does stall the timer. However, if that immunity is not up and Elemental Curse does his bullshit spikes coming out of the ground, you're going to die instantly. Instantly. It's funny how all these Yellow Fest characters their survivability is pretty bad. Mion's the only one that has really good survivability, but Xion will get absolutely murdered by the Elemental Curse since he has nothing. He has no immunity whatsoever in his kit. He has no immunity. He does have super armor, but without immunity, he will die instantly. And we all know that attack type fighters lack defenses. They're built to destroy. That's their whole thing. That's what Iori does. That's what Pretty Z does. They're built to destroy. But we really need another yellow attack that actually would have hyper armor. Notice there's no hyper armor amongst any of these characters. Isn't that crazy how all the yellow attack characters, there's no hyper armor? I mean, we have immunity and super armor on these two characters, but no hyper armor. That's very interesting to me that we don't have that. I don't know why they're picking on the yellow, but please, seriously, I just want Orochi to be buffed. I just want Iori to be buffed big time because he's such a beloved character from the franchise, and he is absolutely insane in Guild Raid and the Elemental event, which is what we're going to be doing now. He is a monster. It's just because he's such a glass cannon, the guy dies super easy. And just a quick little note, this is something I thought was pretty cool. I've been saving some Fest selectors, and I know this is off the subject, but I want to throw this out there. I've been saving Fest selectors now for a little while, and I was actually going to use them on Leona. But lo and behold, this shows up, and Leona showed up. And look at this, Yuri's in here too, which is pretty cool. So those of you, and I know all of us, we have different characters in here at different times, which is always kind of weird and funky to me. But man, if you got Yuri in here, you really should get her for your blue defensive team for RHD past tier 40. We just had that roulette where you're able to get memories for. And honestly, Leona would be an excellent choice as well. And really, in all reality, Nameless, Chrysalid, and Ash are all actually really good for RHD pass tier 40 also. So the team that I went with was these characters right here. I've already talked about Orochi. I'm using Mr. Karate and Ginitz. And like I said, I would use Pretty Zero, guys, but I just don't have her built up enough. I don't have the right imprint stones on her. She needs those double attack stones, and I don't have any of them on her, so I don't have enough CP. And when it comes to this game mode, it's all about the CP. You just need to have as much CP as possible. If you don't, there's no way you're going to be able to do this. It's not like RHD where your awaken levels matter. This is what matters, your awaken level. But for the requirements for this game mode, it's all about CP. So I'm using 3 level 50 characters, and of course, the higher awaken level, the more CP you're able to add. But they also have max imprint stones on them, and that helps. They also, all of these characters have 30% PG rate in their core. So, and they'll all get buffed by Orochi's leadership. Now, Karate and Ginitz don't have a type advantage against this guy because he's a purple. Only yellow. Only Iori is really going to be doing the mass of the damage. Unfortunately, as you all will see in the gameplay, God almighty, he just dies so easy. And I can't do tier 25. Maybe I can when I start using BS characters and things like that. But I didn't want to show that today. I didn't want to use BS characters. I didn't want to use any collab characters. But I am going to be using the Tekken set. And reason being, it just adds an insane amount of CP. That's really the reason I'm using it. It just adds a lot of CP. I mean, you do gain PG on critical hits, which Iori has a lot of crit buffs, so he does a lot of critical hits. So he can gain PG pretty quick on top of the 30% PG core that he has. But this 3 PG card is actually really insane on him because you can do the 3 PG, right? And then he actually just resets his skills afterwards. He'll reset all of his active skills after ultimate moves. And then you can do the 1, 2, 3 again, skill 1, 2, 3 again, and then you can just do his default finisher. So you can do 2 ultimate moves right in a row on this guy. The problem is, whenever Elemental Curse is doing one of his spike attacks, where he's doing an explosion, like he'll do an explosion, and if you dodge the other side, you can avoid the attack. But sometimes he'll throw the spikes out of the ground, and that is very difficult. When it gets a hold of you, it just starts guard breaking the living piss out of you. Starts interrupting your skills to where you can't do anything. Even if you have super armor, it just kind of shakes you around. And Iori, I mean, he'll just die instantly. Oh my God. This was a pretty difficult run, to be perfectly honest, guys. And I'm also running Joe here. And Joe is really nice because he does give a heal, but he also gives this decreased damage received by 60% for 5 seconds when you tag him in. And that's very important. And something to keep in mind, if I had this character leveled up to level 50, I'm not telling you all you should level up a striker all the way up to level 50. But if you did, you'd gain a lot of extra CP because the more CP that your striker has, the more they're going to add on to your damage dealer. So it's pretty awesome that I actually can clear tier 24, get all of the rewards without using really OP strikers except for Ignatz here. And then Mr. Karate here, we're going to be using him because, again, he benefits from Iori's leadership. And I'm just going to run the Serena set on here because we gain that 10% PG rate from tagging in. And we're also going to be gaining a lot of extra attack. It's a really amazing set for the elemental events. Very nice. And of course, you guys are always going to see these cosmic cards. I've done multiple videos about these elemental events, and I've talked about why you should be using the cosmic card. This thing just adds an insane amount of CP. And you'll notice I also have a PG rate card on each character, and these are from the Yantama collab. Maybe some of you might have the other PG cards, like the ones from the Seven Knights collab. And if you don't have any PG raid cards, this set will still do you really well. There's also PG raid strikers you could also try to build up your PG fast enough to where you can use your 3 PGs, stall the timer, and also just remain safe, because that's the biggest thing. Even Karate here, if you don't get that hyper armor, like he'll drop down, and if Elemental Curse is doing his spikes, when Karate drops down and hits those spikes, he'll just die instantly. He'll just die. It sucks. Oh yeah, and then the Imprint Stones. I have just regular Imprint Stones from Immortal Victor. So none of these are double attack except for this last one. These other two are not. So I could gain a lot of extra attack stats from having 2 double attacks here on Mr. Karate. And of course, max capsules. All these characters have max capsules. And then Guinness here. He has the double attack here from Guild Raid. He has this stone here from Immortal Victor. And then he has this stone here from the one of the Immortal Dungeons as well. And then as far as his card set, we're running the Leah set. The Leah set's actually really insane because it will reset your procs. And if it resets your procs, you can actually build up your PG faster. So for those of you that don't have one of these cards, maybe you could just put in a Leah set and hope that you build up the PG fast enough with this team. And if it does reset and you can run through your skills again, it will build up your PG fast enough. And you'll notice whenever I play with Guinness, I'm going to be using his default finisher. It does miss, but it does stall the timer, and that's very, very important. He's just going to add some extra damage. Iori here, she actually has a nice link effect with Mr. Karate, which increases your attack member attack by 5%, and then the link effect increases damage dealt to enemies by 7%, and you get an extra power charge rate by 5%. So she's actually a really good striker for Mr. Karate. You don't have to use these. I just really want to use Joe to try to help Iori's survivability with the heal and the decreased damage received. And I really just want a little extra PG right here and a little extra attack from Ignatz. Now, I actually pre-recorded this run because it actually took me quite a few tries to get this done and get it done in the 100 seconds that we need to so we can get all of the rubies. So let's jump into the action and let's rock and roll. So we're just going to start with Iori. We're going to let these guys spawn up, and I'm not going to bring out Joe yet. Just 1, 2, 3. There we go. I let those two get lined up. And then we hit our 3 PG. I always start with the 3 PG. Doesn't matter. You can do the default first or the regular 3 PG. But the nice thing about this 3 PG that I didn't even show is that you do get extra attack after you use the 3 PG. So after you use it, you're going to do that much more damage on your regular skills afterwards, which is really, really nice. I mean, Iori's insane, right? He just God almighty, man. It's so difficult to keep him alive. And we're going to start with Guinness's default. And a lot of times the default does miss, but it just stalls so much time. And that's really why I want to use it. Now there we're hitting the target, which is really great. You always want to make sure you're kind of in front of Elemental Curse or whatever. And there we go. And it really sucks when you're falling down and them spikes come out of the ground and you just fall into the spikes. And then you just take an insane amount of damage, which blows, especially if it's Iori. I mean, my God, he needs a buff so badly. Here we go. And notice I brought in Joe there just to make sure that we decrease damage received, make sure we get a heal. And really depending on what Elemental Curse is doing, like if he's doing attacks, I'll go ahead and bring in Joe really quick. If he's not doing attacks, then maybe I'll save Joe for the default 3 PG. I'll use his regular 3 PG, and then I'll do the default afterwards, and then bring in Joe. It really depends on what Elemental Curse is doing as to what I'm going to do. And Karate, he's taking a little bit of time to build up PG, just a little bit. I wish I would have 2 of those Serena sets. That would be really awesome. Here we go. And you want to use Iori's finishers as fast as you can. You don't want to waste time. Now there you saw me dash, right? And then look what happened. The spikes went on the other side and still caught me. And he does a hell of a lot of poison damage on top of all the damage just from his regular attacks. He's a real bastard, honestly. Oh my God. This took me quite a few tries to do this with this team. But it can be done, and that's why I wanted to show this to all of you. You know, you don't need your collab characters. You don't need BS characters. You can absolutely do this without them. And if my karate was leveled up more, if I had Pretty Zero leveled up, I guarantee I could do tier 25 as well. It would be difficult, but you can still do it. And Iori's pretty much about ready to die, and Joe just saved us. We used Joe there when we were about, our life was about to end, and he saved us. So he gave us another round of doing damage. Hopefully we don't die in the next round, but I think we will when we bring him in. And I really hate it when you drop down and hit them damn spikes. It's like, oh, come on. Seriously? I mean, it's just, oh, it annoys you so much. And you're like, crap, now I got to start all over. And Iori died. We fell right into the spikes. And see what's happening there? Bloop, bloop, bloop. He's just freaking killing us like crazy. So now it's all up to Genitz and Mr. Karate. And this is another reason why these two characters are amazing. And this is why I wish they would give Iori some hyper armor, or at least immunity, because he already has super armor, and you could chain those together. That way he would still have the extra survivability, he wouldn't get interrupted, he would be just so much better. And honestly, if they just gave him immunity, he wouldn't be overpowered. He still wouldn't have guard break in his kit, but honestly, if he did have guard break and he was overpowered, so what? These days, in this game, lots of characters are overpowered. So why not? Why not give it to one of the most beloved characters in the game? And boom. So as always, let me know what characters you've gotten, what cards you've gotten, and I stream at Twitch at 9 a.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.